The GR20 has definitely been one of the most fun treks I've done so far. Diverse landscapes ranging from rugged peaks in the northern part to soft green hills in the southern part of the trail make it a treat for the eyes. Also, having fun with lots of little challenges and things to do like climbing or jumping in one of the many natural pools along the way make it a beautiful experience. That being said, the planning also took quite a while for this one. I would have loved a video with all the information in it, and also some viewers asked me to do a video like kind of a guide, so here it is. Equipment won't be part of this video, but I'll probably do a general equipment gear video pretty soon. The video is split into chapters, so feel free to skip to the parts that are actually interesting to you. So what is the GR20? The GR20 is a trek that goes along or across the island of Corsica. It's around 180 kilometers long, while ascending 12,000 meters and descending 11,000, so it's quite a tough one. Sometimes it has up to 45 degrees incline and climbing parts, so yeah, it's definitely also a fun one if you like little challenges. There's around 10 to 20,000 people doing the trek every year. And I heard that there's like a 40 to 60% dropout rate, so like all the people don't finish the trek. I don't know the reasons for that. Also, the trail is split into 16 sections with a hut marking or the end of every section, and the average distance between those huts or refuge is around 13 kilometers. Sometimes it focuses on altitude, sometimes on distance. Sometimes actually on both. There'll be the fun days on the trail. So how do you actually get to the trail? I'd say the first option is the ferries. There are two main ferry companies that work there, and the first one is Corsica Ferry, which is leaving from Livorno, Nizza, Savona, Sète and Toulon. And then there's Corsica Linea, which is departing from Marseille. And they pretty much have the same harbors they arrive in, which would be Bastia, Ajaccio, Il Rus, Porto Vecchio or Propriano. The second option would be by plane. You would pretty much arrive in the same places. So now the question is, how do you get from the point where you arrived on Corsica to the start of the trail? And this one was a pretty tough one for me because I did it in the off season. If you do it in the on season, it's a little bit easier because there's buses and trains going regularly to the start, which is either in the north or the south, because you can start the trail in the northern part or in the southern part, which would also be or make a difference in the experience of the trail, because the northern part is the spectacular, very tough one with all the climbing, and the south is a little bit more relaxed. So whatever you want to do first, you can choose. But yeah, either way, to both of these spots, there's regular buses and trains going in the season. If you're doing it in the off season, I would recommend planning a little bit better because, for example, when I finished the trek, I couldn't find a bus or a train that was leaving from Conca, so I had to go to a different place called Zonza because there was a bus going. But yeah, keep that in mind to do some extra planning on doing your travels when you're doing it in the off season. So the next thing is the food and the water planning. Like on any trail, before doing it, I would recommend checking where the water sources are. For the GR20, there's an app called GR20, and it pretty much had all the water sources marked, and you could plan pretty nicely that way. But how much water to carry, I'd say, is pretty individual, because some people just drink a lot, some don't. Some people are very fast on the trail, some are more relaxed. Sometimes the weather is pretty hot, sometimes it's quite cold. So I was always pretty fine with taking 1.5 liters or less if I knew that there would be coming a water source pretty soon. So how much food do you take? I would say that's also depending on whether you do it in the off or the on season, because in the on season there are people in those huts that I was talking about, in those 16, and they're serving breakfast, lunch and dinner, and they also have a small store where you can restock basic foods. so you don't really have to carry a lot of food with you if you don't want to. So it's quite different in the off season, because in the off season you have to carry the food for yourself. You have the option of restocking your food basically in the middle of the trail. That's when you arrive in Visavona. There's a little store as well where you can stock up on basic items. If you want to have a little bit more variety, you would have to go to Corte, which is like a half an hour drive by train, and that's pretty much leaving every day, so you can plan that as well as a little stop for maybe a day and then restock. Also, the huts that are open in the season, they have a little gas stove, like a kitchen provided for you. And in the off season, if you're lucky, because the huts are open in the off season but there's just no one there, but if you're lucky, there's still some gas left that you can use, but I wouldn't rely on it, since it's just luck. But like on any other hike, I would recommend nuts, bars, lentils, generally foods that are quite dense in calories, as well as proteins, just so your muscles can keep working on the trail. You will probably have a calorie deficit anyway, so at least you have your muscles fueled up with the protein. I'd say that's a good idea. So next thing is the weather. If you want to do the trail without having to carry any special alpine equipment like an ice axe, the trail becomes accessible in early June. But because of all the microclimates in the mountains, you will always have to be prepared for all the situations, all the weathers, because like in one day there could be thunderstorm, sun, winds, rain, you name it. So always be prepared and have the right clothes with you. When I began the trail, I was actually sweating a lot. It was so hot. And at the end of the trail, I was waking up to frost on my walking stick. So you will have everything. So usually I'd say that's common sense, but on this trail I think it's a good idea to get remembered again, to be cautious when it's wet, because if it's raining on the GR20 and you'll have a climbing heavy day in front of you, the possibilities to slip are not too rare. So keep an eye on that as well. For the condition of the trail, by which I mean the path you will be walking on, it can vary like in a day from well-walked paths in the forest or grasslands to rocks, big boulders where you need your hands to climb a little bit. But in terms of the markings, I would say they're in pretty good condition. You will have the red and the white marking for the usual trail, and yellow markings for a section that's a variant of the GR20. But I'd say it's pretty good because you can always see one of the markings at all times. If you can't see one, it's a sign that you're probably not on the right track anymore. So if it's possible to get lost a little bit, but only if you're not aware on the markings and you're not looking out for them. Now, a question I've been asked quite a few times, which is about wild camping. And wild camping is theoretically not allowed on the GR20, but when I was there, I have seen a lot of stone circles where there was an obvious spot to set up your tent. But I wouldn't rely on it, because there's just a few of those spots, and in the season there are so many people. So usually you will be camping close to one of the refuges, which those 16 ones that make up the sections of the trail. But in the off season you might get lucky and have a chance to set up your tent on a quite nice spot. But remember the common sense rules: always leave the spot the same as you found it. Not maybe even better if there was something laying around that's not supposed to be there. And another thing to keep in mind are the animals on the trail. Well, there's cows, horses, pigs, snakes or lizards. I think they're quite nice on the trail to see them. Then there's animals like foxes, and I say you definitely have to take care of your food, that it's not getting stolen by them. One time I woke up with my marmalade that I would use to mix up into my oats. I found it a couple of meters away, ripped open. And the best season to do the GR20, I would say it's in the off season around October. The huts won't be open, so you have to carry your food, but at the same time you have more space, I would say. Like, of course, you don't see a lot of people, but also in your head, if you just have more time with yourself. Yeah, it's definitely spacious in your head, I don't know. And the negative thing about doing it in the off-season is the infrastructure, like I told you, with the buses. So you have to maybe adjust the trip a little bit to be able to take a train or a bus where you finish. But yeah, for me, the solitude on a trail is definitely worth it. The good things about the on-season are that you don't have to carry a lot of food, because there's kitchens and stores and possibilities to get food, like prepared food even. And there's a lot of people, which can be a good thing for some people as well. Some people like it, some people don't. The thing that I would also worry about is the sun, because I think in the summer it's like the sun is pretty strong, and hiking a long time it can be pretty exhausting. I'd prefer the off-season, which also can have all the different climates and different weather conditions. But overall, I think it's a little bit more moderate. Well, last but not least, the general preparation. I think there's a difference in physical preparation and mental preparation. As a physical preparation, I'd say there's not a lot to do. When you have a general fitness, I'd say you can do the trail. You can do it slowly, you don't have to rush it. And if you take your time, that's all right. Like, yeah, you can do it. Maybe a good thing would be to prepare your knees a little bit, like strengthen your knees by doing something like sissy squats. I don't know, you could Google that, because you have to go downhill a lot on the trail, and if that's your first time, like putting that much kilos on your knees, it could definitely turn into a bad experience. But then there's also the mental aspect of hiking in general, but especially this hike because it's pretty hard. If you want to take it a little bit slower on the trail, I think the mental part is even bigger, because you will have to be able to accept situations immediately, because if there's a part of the trail that is like super hard and you just don't want to do it, there's no, like, it makes no sense to be there and complaining about the situation, because you will have to do it anyways. So that's a thing that's good to already have some experience, but at the same time you get this experience while doing the trail, because like maybe you're in the first few times, on the first few days, you're complaining about weather, it's so hot and it's so steep, but you will eventually know that it makes no sense to complain, and then you just get the mindset of, okay, there's something that is not easy, or there's something that is not as I like it to be, and the mind switches from like spending time on the problem to instantly just going into the mode of, okay, so what am I doing now? So I'd say it's a good thing to be prepared a little bit, but at the same time, you can make the experience of letting the GR20 teaching you the skill to just accept things. So that was the GR20 guide. I hope I covered all the aspects that you had in mind maybe. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any more questions, just let me know in the comments down below. And I hope you have a lot of fun on the trail.